The views, opinions, and positions expressed by the speakers and attendees during the CHAMP series are theirs alone and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinion, or position of Anna Shaw Children's Institute, ASCI, Hamilton Healthcare System Incorporated, Hamilton, or any of its affiliates. The speakers and attendees are not authorized to speak on behalf of ASCI, Hamilton, or any of its affiliates, and do not purport to speak on behalf of ASCI, Hamilton, or any of its affiliates. This presentation in no way seeks to diagnose or treat illness or replace professional medical care. Please see your physician if you have a health problem. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, please call 911 or go directly to your nearest emergency department. This is a recorded presentation of Hamilton, and their affiliates may replay this presentation on an ongoing basis for promotional and educational purposes.
Hello, my name is Pam Wiles, and I serve our community as the Director of Exceptional Student Services for Dalton Public Schools. Thank you, Lindsay Coker and Anna Shaw Children's Institute, for this opportunity to record one of your CHAMP webinars. The season for state testing is quickly approaching, and this can be a stressful time for all of us, including teachers, parents, and most of all, our kids. So the title for this time together is Don't Stress the Test. That's much easier to say as a tagline than to live it out. So let's talk about some strategies to prepare for standardized testing. When I'm tackling a difficult task, it helps me when I understand the purpose or the function of the task. In other words, what is the reason for why I'm having to do something which is difficult? In light of understanding, let's explore the purpose of testing or assessments. The following information is from the Georgia Department of Education website under the Testing Assessment page. The purpose of the Georgia Student Assessment Program is to measure student achievement of the state-adopted academic content standards and to use assessment results to improve teaching and learning. So the purpose is to identify the extent to which your child has mastered the state's academic content standards, to provide teachers with feedback about our instruction, and to assist school districts in identifying strengths and weaknesses of our programs. The Georgia Student Assessment Program includes a set of both formative and summative assessments that work together to provide insights to improve teaching and learning. Formative assessment is assessment for learning. It takes place while instruction is still occurring to gather immediate feedback that identifies students' academic strengths and areas for growth, to plan differentiated instruction, and to support student learning. Formative assessment is low stakes and does not carry consequences for students. Teachers implement their own formative assessment on a regular basis, whether it is informal or formal. Examples of Georgia's statewide formative assessments include the G-Kids Readiness Check and G-Kids 2.0 for kindergarten. Some school districts implement Keenville for grades 1 to 2 and DRC Beacon for grades 3 through 8. Dalton Public Schools uses the MAP Growth for formative assessment across all grades. The purpose of these formative assessments is to obtain useful and timely data to inform our instruction. Summative assessment is assessment of learning. It takes place at the end of an instructional period and measure student mastery of intended learning outcomes. Summative assessment is high stakes. Examples include quizzes, final exams, and graded projects. State summative assessments can affect students' promotion or retention and grades, and school accountability systems like CCRPI. Statewide summative assessment data is typically used to assess instructional programs as a whole and support school and district improvement efforts. Georgia's statewide summative assessments include Access for English language learners, Georgia Alternate Assessment 2.0, and Georgia Milestones. So to review our why for testing, we have formative and summative assessments. Formative is for learning to gather immediate information to support student learning. Summative is of learning to measure mastery of intended learning outcomes. So now that we have talked about the why, how can we help prepare for both formative and summative assessments? How can we don't stress the test? The following is a compilation of suggestions, which are not in any particular order and is certainly not exhaustive. Think of these as checkpoints for a marathon. This journey we are on with our children is a long race, not a short sprint. First of all, communicate with your child's teachers. Get frequent progress reports throughout the year to know how your child is doing in class. Knowing how your child is performing in each subject will help you support your child at home all year long. Knowing the purpose of assignments will help motivate your child and keep them engaged in their learning. You and the teacher are a team for your child, especially for our children with disabilities. We need to communicate more than just at an annual review conference. Check grades and completion of classwork or homework regularly. Use your school's online system to keep on top of your child's grades and work completion. If this is not an option for you, then speak to the teacher about another way to receive more frequent updates. Check on your child's grades regularly, such as weekly, and don't wait until the end of a marking period to see what is on the report card. One thing that works for me is to set a reminder on my phone. Read with your child regularly. One of the best ways to expand your child's vocabulary is to read with them. Read anything which interests you or your child. Comic books, magazines, cookbooks, or even the newspaper. Read signs and billboards as you drive down the road. Ask questions about what you've just read together to give you insights into their reading comprehension. Your teacher can give you tips for reading with your child if they struggle with reading. Regular on-time attendance is paramount. An important part of this marathon is for our children to be at school every day possible and on time. Our school day is packed with learning from the beginning of the day to the end of the day. It all matters. Being even 30 minutes late could mean your child has missed an IEP therapy session, classroom circle time, or a small group. Get up in plenty of time so your child is not rushed getting out of the door to school. Rushing around before school can cause your child to feel stress and disrupt their ability to focus the first part of the day. especially if they feel like you were upset with them. The start of the day sets the tone for the rest of the day. It does for us as adults, doesn't it? Well, it certainly does for our kids too. Practice for the test. An essential part of test prep is to help our students get used to the format of testing, such as computerized testing, and also to the type of questions that they will have on standardized testing. This practice is typically done at school during the school day, which is also why regular attendance is critical. But your teachers may also provide links to test prep or send home practice packets, which can be done at home. Learn and use relaxation techniques. As a parent, you have the opportunity to see your child in stressful situations. Identify what helps your child calm down and share this information with their teacher. Teach your child strategies such as stretching or breathing deeply. The following are suggestions from specialedresource.com. The first is called progressive muscle relaxation, which includes lying or at school, sitting comfortably. Tense one muscle group at a time until he feels the tension release from his body. Start with small muscle groups like in your hands and feet before moving up to large ones like those around your neck and back. Another suggestion is autogenic training. This is focusing on an image like floating peacefully, or a word like peace, or a feeling like calm to reduce stress and anxiety. Another suggestion is deep breathing, which is taking slow, deep breaths through your nose from a few seconds up to several minutes to quickly relax. Slowing down your breathing by slowly counting down. It's important not to overthink thoughts during meditation because this may make concentration difficult. Another suggestion, if possible, allow the student to bring along a calming object to help keep them grounded. If you are concerned that your child hasn't found a way to calm down when they are stressed, talk to their teacher and/or their school counselor. We can help provide resources which will help your child and in turn your family. So as a parent, remain calm and positive on testing days. If you as a parent are worried about testing, then your child will pick up on that and will likely become more worried and stressed. Do as much as you can to make your child feel comfortable. Try not to say things to make him or her feel more nervous. Reassure your child that no matter the outcome of the test, you will still love him or her. Encourage them to simply do their best. Now let's talk about healthy habits. I've always heard that the week of the test, we should encourage parents to make sure that their child has plenty of rest, goes to bed early, and eats a good breakfast. But this is what we should be doing every week. Going with the marathon analogy, in order for your child to learn every day, they need a good night's rest. And this is truly an issue in the lives of our students. SpecialEdResource.com also had these great suggestions if your child has trouble falling asleep. Try a relaxing routine before bed, like reading or listening to music, taking care not to choose anything that will trigger worries about the tests. Their bedroom should be as dark and quiet as possible. This helps their body know it's time for sleep. Avoid eating sugary foods or drinks close to bedtime. Make sure that there are no distracting electronics or any other stimuli in the bedroom while falling asleep. Parents, I cannot emphasize enough how important this tip is in helping your child. It is not safe for our children to have access to electronics and to the internet while parents are asleep and unable to monitor their access. So let's also look at suggestions from specialedresource.com for healthy breakfast options. The morning meal should be high protein and low sugar, but not empty carbs. Some suggestions that are given on this website are an egg sandwich and an orange, oatmeal cooked with milk and a banana, omelet with yogurt mixed with fresh berries, tropical smoothie and boiled eggs, a veggie omelet with fried rice, or pita wraps. So if the only time we emphasize these healthy habits of sleep and good nutrition is the week of testing, that adds stress to that event. Make healthy habits a normal part of your home routine. But this is not to diminish the need to have plenty of rest and a good breakfast during testing. So the last tip is to review accommodations. If your child has a disability and has an IEP, which is an individualized education plan or a 504 plan, your child may have accommodations for testing. It's really important that we discuss the difference between accommodations and modifications. Accommodations change how the student is taught or expected to learn. They do not change the content, instructional level, or grade. However, modifications change what the student is taught or expected to learn. So modifications do alter the content, lower the grade level, and instructional level standards. Modifications may result in implications that could adversely affect students throughout their educational career. Classroom accommodations change how students learn, but do not change what they learn. Therefore, assessment accommodations change how students are tested, but do not change what a test measures. Accommodations are changes in the administration of an assessment in terms of how the student takes or responds to the assessment. Broad categories of accommodations include setting, presentation, response, and scheduling. So let's look at each of these categories in the next few slides. Setting addresses a change in the location in which a student receives instruction, participates in an assessment, or the condition of an instructional or assessment setting. Examples include preferential seating, special education classroom, small group, individual administration, or adaptive furniture. Presentation is when instructional or test materials are presented in a different manner than standard print. Examples include a test examiner familiar to the student, text-to-speech or oral reading of test questions in English, Braille form using covered overlays or auditory amplification devices. Response is providing an alternative method of responding to assignments and assessments. An example of response would be the use of a scribe, adapted writing tools, or student identifies answer through alternative means such as point, eye gaze, tap, or finger pointing. Scheduling is providing additional time to complete assignments or assessments, or the way the time is organized. A common example of is extended time or frequent monitored breaks. It is important that the student requires the accommodation and uses it regularly during routine instruction and assessment. It should be a bridge to access and participation based on the impact of the area of deficit. For standardized assessments, there are allowable accommodations printed in the manual for each assessment. The allowable accommodations are the only ones which can be used for that assessment. Therefore, there may be accommodations which cannot be used on a particular assessment. Although accommodations for instruction and assessment are highly intertwined, some accommodations are appropriate for instruction and not for assessment. Different tests serve different purposes, so we must consider the purpose of the test and what it is designed to measure when choosing accommodations. As a parent, you are part of your child's IEP or 504 team. Attend the meetings when developing these plans. Ask questions and get clarification when you need it. Your child should also begin to participate in these meetings as they get older. When making decisions about accommodations, our children can tell us what is helpful for them. Sometimes we are guilty of choosing accommodations which our children do not find helpful and don't want to use. Thank you so much for watching this presentation. The mission of Dalton Public Schools is to develop trusting relationships and provide quality work that engages students in profound learning. Assessment is a part of determining student mastery of standards. But fulfilling our mission of developing trusting relationships includes a partnership with you, our parents, and our community. Remember, don't stress the test. Instead, let's run this race together.